And Joe Biden and Sarah Palin squared off in their first and only debate last night.
They clashed over everything from Iraq to energy and global warming, but overall they remained very civil toward each other.
Where we're known for putting partisan politics aside to just get the job done.
It was 2 Mondays ago, John McCain said at 9 o'clock in the morning that the fundamentals of the economy were strong. That doesn't make John McCain a bad guy, but it does point out he's out of touch.
Well, joining us now to talk about the candidates, our analyst, our political analyst, and North Central College professor, Stephen Caliendo. Good morning, Stephen.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Sure.
So it sounds like the overall consensus is that there really were no votes changed. Do you think anybody would change their vote based on last night?
I doubt it. I think, there's this principle of the way partisan filters work, so that if a Republican and a Democrat are sitting and they're watching the same information, they're going to come away with it very differently because of the interactive effect that media has. It's not a direct effect. And so I think that people going in wanting to like Sarah Palin had that reaffirmed. But I think folks that were waiting for her to slip, they didn't see too much of it, but they also weren't convinced that she's ready to be vice president or certainly not president.
All right, I have a question. In television advertising, you're taught to say the product name over and over and over. Last night, Biden said McCain 63 times. Palin only said Obama's name 18 times. Do you think that's going to have a positive effect or a negative effect?
I don't know that it matters in a high salience election like a presidential election. It's old wisdom in campaigning, particularly, that you never say your opponent's name.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is everybody knows the names of these two. That's helpful if you're running against a challenger that doesn't have high name recognition. But in a race where everybody knows the names of the two candidates, I don't think it would have much of a difference, to be honest.
Okay, we heard from Palin a moment ago. Now, we also have some tape of Joe Biden, and he's taking issue with Sarah Palin, talking about touting her experience as a mom.
Right.
Listen.
But the notion that somehow, because I'm a man, I don't know what it's like to raise 2 kids alone. I don't know what it's like to have a child you're not sure is going to make it. I understand, as well as, with all due respect, the governor or anybody else, what it's like for those people sitting around that kitchen table. And guess what? They're looking for help. They're looking for help. They're not looking for more of the same.
I hadn't seen that side of Joe Biden. How did that
Well,
play?
I had seen it once or twice before, only when he was talking about this. I mean, and I think that he probably didn't expect to talk about it tonight, but it seemed like he was a little bit unnerved by the constant suggestion that because she's a mom, she knows all this stuff that he doesn't. And so, it was a natural moment. It was a moment that probably wasn't planned, and it was a vulnerable moment. And I think there's always a risk in that, but I think it probably came off well with the voters.
And we should say this, he's talking, we should point out he lost his wife and child years ago.
Yes,
and
in a car accident, that's right.
Dealing with the other children.
Yes. Yeah,
all right.
That's right.
After last night's debate, final word, what are you going to tell your students today about the debate?
Well, here's the thing. I think you've seen what you're going to see of Sarah Palin. I think she's going to get pushed aside at this point. We got 2 more presidential debates. I think Sarah Palin will be on the campaign trail. I think she may make some calls into AM talk radio. She may show up on Fox News here or there. But I think in terms of doing any more interviews, this was a solid performance. We don't need to see much more of her, especially fumbling around like she has in her past interviews.
All right, now we look ahead to the next presidential debate. And a lot of the analysts are starting to say that this one could get nasty compared to the last one. Last one was a little cold, a little sterile. Right. Your thoughts on the upcoming one?
I think it's possible, and I think not just the debates, but the campaign's going to start to get nasty. With McCain slipping further in the polls, not only nationally, but in some key battleground states. Lost in a lot of the discussion yesterday was the McCain campaign deciding to forget about Michigan, completely giving up on Michigan, which is an important state. And so I think that you're going to start to see third-party groups as well as the campaign and the Republican committee getting nasty. You're going to start to hear more tacit racial stuff. You're going to start to see Jeremiah Wright more often. And I think it's going to start to get rough in the next couple weeks.
All right. Stephen Caliendo, thank you for being here.
Thank you. All right, nice to see you too.
And you can read Stephen's blog online at cbs2chicago.com. Just click on Morning News.